tight can I take this corner? Like, legitimately, how can I just... Oh, man. There's like paths that go right through the cemetery, and all I want to do is turn the cemetery into a racetrack. Subaru WRX. I am gonna go right behind this guy in the WRX. I just spun out. All right, foot's on the floor, second gear, all the way to 5,000 RPM, third gear, accelerating up to 80 kilometers an hour, 4,000 RPM, 4.5, 5, top gear. 1994 Morris Mini Cooper Mark VI. What a lovely day for British motoring. In the middle of the road, left, right, left, right, left, right. Don't upset the car. What am I talking about? I'm not going to upset it. Left, right, left, right. Hey, squirrel, I can do that too. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. I'm going to be sad when this giveaway is over. Justin Bernash and I had a nice talk at lunch about what I want these giveaways to be. And I don't want to do, big American cars anymore. I've had my fill. I like them. I own one. But I only want to give away and promote cars that make me excited now, stuff that makes me happy. And this does. And I've been driving this classic Mini Cooper every day. My electric car, I think I used it twice. Every errand, every little, I make excuses to just drive it everywhere. It turns these gray days into a joy. Every gear change is a toast to feeling good all the time. But I'm going to have to give this car back when this giveaway is over, and it's going to go to a very, very lucky. And the way you get entered to win these giveaways is to click the link in the description. It's go.getenteredtowin.com/regular cars. And you buy a mug or a digital download, and that's how you get entered to win these things. And this car is something that I didn't know I needed in my life. I'm British now. I can't do the accent, but I've just become that friend you have that became an Anglophile ever since buying a classic Mini. I live in Coventry, Pennsylvania, but I'm pronouncing it Cov. I have a pipe now. There's nothing in it. But I'm dressing in tweed, growing a mustache, searching estate sales for eyeglasses bigger than James Burke's. Oh, thank you for inviting me to your New Year's party. I'm gonna be annoying. First off, I'm parking my Mini somewhere where a car shouldn't. Next, I'm walking right to the speaker and changing the music from chill lo-fi to Mr. B the Gentleman Rhymer. Now, I'm holding a plastic cocktail glass filled with room temperature gin. It is a prop to hover around and insert myself into conversations I'm not a part of. And I'm waiting with a quiver full of British slang. Daft, bloody, right and proper, sodding, boot bonner, lorry, petrol, wanker, punter. And I'll fire them off and make you forget what you were talking about. Now I'm holding a teacup. Want to go for a ride in my Mini? I will say, now that I have derailed the conversation. Want to go? I know you're having a fun time playing GameCube Smash Brothers with friends you haven't seen all year. But do you want to stop doing that and bounce around in a small car with seats that don't move? And suspension springs that are only rubber cones? No airbags, no crash safety, a blower motor with only one speed, and a CD player that only plays Professor Elemental. You're humoring me, but I'm misinterpreting it as genuine friendship. Now that we're in motion, I'm gonna shout Mini Cooper facts at you over the sound of the loudest gearbox in this quadrant of the galaxy. Did you know there were 7 generations of Minis? Yeah, they kept refining the designs from the late 1950s, well 1959 really, all the way to the year 2000. They weren't just 60s cars, you know. They refined the A engine to the A Plus engine, and then, this is a Mark VI Cooper. Technically a Morris Mini, not a Leyland Mini, because this is 1994, and Leyland, are you listening? Leyland was dead as a doornail. Did you get my reference? Anyway, this is an A Plus engine, fuel injection, a computer, power brakes, air conditioning, but no power steering. They didn't need it. Still rubber cone suspension, no springs. It's still the best. That's why we can do this. Whee! I'm swerving left and right inside the lane, and you're getting worried. It's a pushrod engine, but it revs like an overhead cam. Watch me rev. What? You want a cup holder? Ha 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 ha, how daft. Okay, we're back. I'm gonna drive around some more, and you're gonna be happy to see me leave. One of the cars I missed the most out of all the cars I've owned was the little Nissan Pao. That fun little tinny box, that cute little thing, made every single day like a Dr. Seuss adventure. And the one thing about Japanese microcars is that they're adorable and fun, but if only they had more power. And all the time, I forgot about the classic Mini. This is the same size or smaller than a K car with twice or three times the power. Depending on how you tune them. It doesn't have a 600cc engine. This has a 1.275. It makes 60 to 70 horsepower, not 30 to 40. It makes 70 to 80 foot-pounds of torque, not 30 to 40. It has suspension that is really made to handle, not just suspend the car. This is like if a Honda Beat had twice the displacement and twice the power and twice the amount of seats and a trunk, and you could actually get parts in the United States, because 5,387,862 Minis were made from 1959 all the way to the 2000. The Mini outlived its replacement, the Austin Metro. From 1960 to 1967, about 10,000 Minis were made in left-hand drive for the United States market. And if it wasn't for the U.S. safety and headlight standards of, I think, 1967 to 1968, the Mini would have stayed around stateside, and it would have been here just in time for the oil crisis of the early 1970s. But BMC decided that America we're not going to mess with the Mini for the sake of Yanks. We'll mess with the MGB instead. And most of you know the story. The MGB, in order to meet USA headlight levels, headlights had to be so far off the ground. Instead of redesigning the front of the car, they just put a body lift on the car and ruin the handling. But Canada got the Mini up until 1980. The Mini was stylistically finished, technologically too, by the 1970s, by about 1975. And that was the end of the third generation, or Mark III Mini. The Mark I was 1959 to 1967. The Mark II was 1967 to 1970. And the Mark III was 1969 to 1976. And at the end of the Mark III, BMC, British Motor Company, was like, okay, we've had a great run with the Mini. It was an icon of the 60s. We didn't make any money on it, but it got a lot of people in the door, and it won the Monte Carlo Rally. It had a great life. So let's get a replacement going. The Mini looks old anyway, and we need something brown and square for modern Britain. So this is what we got. We got the Austin Allegro. That's what's going to modernize our brand. Oh, it's discontinued in 1982. And then the Mini continued in its Mark IV form. Okay, it's 1982. We have the Austin Maestro. What is it? The Austin Maestro? Maestro? The Austin Maestro? Now, the Austin Maestro. That's the future. That's for modern Britain. Overhead cam, engine, and fuel injection available. Surely this discontinued in 1995, and the Mini survives into its Mark V form and Mark VI form. It was 1995, and a 1960s car was still being produced. Why? This is difficult for me as an American. I don't get this. I can think of two reasons, and I've watched documentaries preparing for this. I can think of two reasons that works for my American viewpoint that maybe my fellow countrymen can understand with classic Minis. Because we don't have a car like this in our American car culture, a design that survives the times. The closest artifact we have in the United States to a Mini is not a car at all, but an engine, the Chevy small block, which was produced from 1954 to 2003. And it's still technically being produced by General Motors umbilical cord subsidiary. You know, they're doing crate engines for like aftermarket stuff. But we can understand the Chevy small block because when it comes to simplicity and ease of maintenance, it's the perfect general use V8. Tows nearly anything, moves nearly anything, long-lived. It just trundling along America's new interstate infrastructure. And that's one way we can understand how the Mini survived. It was and continues to be the near perfect tool for navigating UK's paved over horse-drawn cart paths. It keeps pace on B roads and, of course, winning the Monte Carlo Rally 3 times. And every replacement for the Mini failed to outlive the Mini because of this job. Sure, the Allegro, Maestro, and the Austin Metro were bigger, they were more modern, but they couldn't corner like a Mini. They couldn't scurry away from a stop like a Mini, and they didn't have parts legacy and a knowledge base like the Mini, which is something we Americans can understand with small block Chevys. Every single part is available. They're still manufactured. Every single part for this little British car is still made. Now, by the 1990s, the Mini had existed now for so long, it went full circle in fashion. It was really unpopular in the early 80s. Modern stuff was computers and pop-up headlights and square headlights and hatchbacks. Yes, there was the Morris Traveller and variations of the Mini, but the Mini Cooper itself seemed in the 80s to be this woeful thing of the past. And that brings to mind the second reason why the Mini continued, because of Fuddy Duddies. If you worked in a big corporation, it's usually the ancient men and women and anybody sitting on the bench just, we've been doing it the entire time, and we will continue to do it the entire time. It worked before, and it works now. And yes, as Clarkson said, BMC, British Leyland, and finally Morris Group, they were losing 20 pounds on every single Mini sold. It was a total loss leader. The car itself did not make money. And their idea is, well, it's getting people in the door. It's a great introductory car, which doesn't really work because nothing really, you get a Mini and then that's it. This is like, even in like the 70s and 80s, yes, you had the Triumph Spitfire. Yes, you had the TR6. You had all that fun stuff. Frog Eye Sprite. But the Mini stood alone. It wasn't really a stepping stone to a better car because it's already the best car. But you have people sitting in benches and they're well fed and they have their eyes on their pension. And they're just, well, let's continue doing it because tradition. And in every business sense, I think that's terrible. But in terms of cars, this wonderful creation never died. It continued 2 to 3 times as long as it should have. So by the time you get to the 90s, everything from the 60s is now cool again. We saw that in the United States when muscle car prices went crazy in the 90s and then the 2000s. You know, everything was old, becoming new again, and suddenly the Mini was cool. So finally, it got fuel injection in the Mark VI, which is what this is. And then it got twin point fuel injection for the final year. I mean, at that point, the deal was pretty much done with BMW that they were going to take over from Morris Group, and they were axing nearly everything. But that name there, Mini, of course, they created the modern version of it, the BMW Mini. Of course, it's a sales success, and they're great cars. Are they the same thing as the original? No. A modern Mini is comfortable. A modern Mini, you could fit in the back. A modern Mini can go 110 miles an hour. A modern Mini has air conditioning that doesn't stifle everything in the car. Oh, by the way, this little Mini has air conditioning. And the reason it does is because Japan became the biggest importer of Mini in the 90s, where it became awesomely popular in the 1990s. And that is now where you buy the best ones you can, because they were just put there and then treated like we get really excited over anything really JDM because they don't really drive their cars that much unless it's, you know, some diesel thing that just gets put through its paces driving around just doing like fleet work. But this little thing, ooh, this is in good shape. Now, by the time the Mark 7 came around, the final version of it, that one had a front-mounted radiator, not the side-mounted radiator. But if you buy one from Japan, a Mark 6 or a Mark 7, Mark 6 or the Mark 7s are the ones you want because those are fuel injected. I mean, people are like, oh, reject modernity, embrace tradition all the way. But I'm not messing with carbs anymore in my life, and you don't really have to either. I mean, they make more power with the fuel injection, and guess what? They start in the wintertime. Ooh, you'll have to do a little bit of wiring. Well, it's Lucas Electrics. You're going to be doing wiring anyway. So this Mini has air conditioning, but it's a completely separate system than the normal HVAC, which really is just a one-speed blower motor that will either blows on the defroster or your feet like a classic American car. So the JDM Mark 7s, even though they should have a front-mounted radiator, will still have a side-mounted radiator because they need room for the AC compressor down there. Here comes my horn. You know what? I'm going back the way I came. Second. And don't need my heater anymore. Power. Third. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm just keeping my eyes down the right side of the road because I feel like I'm so small, I can whip around these corners and not have to worry about oncoming traffic because I'm so narrow. But then again, I'd have to worry about some other maniac just like myself. These roads are not tight enough. They're not tight enough to challenge this car. I just want to dive bomb into this corner as fast as I can. Still no brakes. Okay, brakes a little bit. But then it's a Mini, so just power on, power on, power on, power on. This is amazing. I don't even have a destination today. Normally when I film these these drives, I'm just doing errands and stuff. Not today. I am burning gasoline for the hell of it. And soon I will go to a gas station and be admired. But how does it handle the highway, you might ask? Like this. Excuse me, guys. I'm just gonna join everybody right here. I would not really exceed 100 kilometers an hour in something like this, but you're gonna want to, and I am right now because, excuse me, coming through. All right, I'm at 110 kilometers an hour. I am turning 3,900. Look at this Toyota Venza getting out of my way. See, that's another thing. That's another thing about classic Minis. Even though it's a small car, it's respected in America, as opposed to, you know, JDM tiny, like, K cars. Like, oh, I'm gonna intimidate this tiny guy. No, these cars exist in the zeitgeist in the United States. So, and I've had people, when people will come up and talk to you about this. People will come and talk to you about this car. And they would say, that's tiny. And then usually the old blah, blah, blah Corvette guys, they will say stuff like, but those things are fast, right? And you're like, yeah, they are. Oh, look at you, Mr. BMW X-Drive 535i. You were cool about 8 seconds ago. What's rattling in here? It's something British. It's the fake vents down here and the fake plastic. I'm gonna turn off the heater. All right, there's something down there that's rattling against something else. And it wasn't rattling yesterday, and it may not rattle tomorrow. That's annoying, but there it stopped. Is it the cigarette lighter? It's plastic. I need to tighten something down there. On BMW. Don't let the little car embarrass you. Come on, BMW, get the lead out. All right, fine, I'll put it in 4th gear and cruise. How funny it would be if this BMW is gonna, like, move over for me. Well, guess what? He's getting underpassed. See, okay, at any time that guy could light his turbos or whatever and get away from me. But he is not cooler than me. Thanks for watching me drive this Mini around. I'm going to continue doing it more. Click on the link in the description. Go to go.getentertowin.com/regular cars. Buy a mug or a digital download, and I'm going to have to give this Mini to whoever wins. I really think when I'm done with Crazy Taxi, I'm going to buy one of these things for myself. Again, I think it's so weird that I've been in the automotive world for 10 years, and I've never really experienced a Mini, especially the Mark 6 and the Mark 7s. This is a joyous sense of driving, almost innocent, I guess. Remember the song Return to Innocence by Enya? Yeah, it was on Pure Moods. This is not an ending. This is a return to yourself. What a lovely car. Anyway, links in the description. Enter this giveaway. You help support regular car reviews. You're sending us to Australia and sending me out on more trips and more car shows. Hopefully now in 2024, I'm going to get out and see people. And someone's going to go home with Classic Mini. So thank you. Thank you for liking regular car reviews, and good luck.